So here I am doing a book review. Now I don't have it on me because it is inaudible. So I bought Molly Burke's It's Not What It Looks Like inaudible. And I have to say that it is a fabulous, absolutely fabulous book. It is absolutely brilliant book. I wish I had this book when I was 14, 13, really struggling with my eyesight, really struggling with bullying at school. I really liked the way she went through her process of thought in her progression into becoming a more would you say self-contained person, a more someone who's obviously had a process of self-actualization. She is comfortable in herself, although I have to admit that I myself I wouldn't have any gratitude for me becoming blind. I can understand the concept where if you weren't blind, what would your personality be like? If you didn't have this, if you didn't take blindness as an opportunity to grow as a person, for moral growth, as it were, and you take it as a one door closed and a new door open kind of attitude, then you don't appreciate how it's changed you as a person, and therefore you should have gratitude as to how it changed you as a person, like blindness suddenly had a purpose almost. Whereas I'm not saying that blindness doesn't have a purpose and then it doesn't and as a knock-on effect of being blind, it doesn't give you a different attitudinal perspective. It doesn't change the way you behave. But I myself would say that I don't have gratitude for my blindness. I have contentment in my blindness because it is a part of me. Now you see, me and Molly would differ in the fact that I would, if I had an opportunity to make my sight better and to change the identity that I have at the moment as a blind person, if I had the opportunity to change that identity and become a sighted person with full sight, I would do so. I would genuinely do so because I've already had a change where I thought that I would always be on a feeding machine, and that would be me. Once I was off the feeding machine, it was almost as though I was a different person. I know that I am the same person. I've got the same historical background. I've got the same personality, but it makes me into a different person within the social structuring. Molly is correct in the fact that it is a social engineering issue when you're blind. It is about how we as a society work and about the attitudes that we have towards blindness that makes blindness the problem. Obviously, I'm not advocating for blind people to fly planes, but what I am advocating is for a different attitude, a different perspective, a different, to have a more positive, let's work out this problem, as opposed to okay, so you're blind, that's it, you're just going to have to give up, because that kind of leads to suicidal thought and self-harm. And, she won't be the first and she won't be the last to have certain mental health difficulties as a disabled person. It's almost a predictable inevitability that at some point when you're disabled you may have that problem. I know that people differ in saying that you won't have that you'd have the same problems if you're sighted. But let's be honest, the problems that a sighted person has are different in their nature. You know, it's a different nature of the problem. I'm not saying that they won't ever have suicidal thought and that they won't ever commit suicide. What I'm saying is that a sighted person's, you know, people's problems are to be taken individualistically, you know, and that at some point we all will feel or have been bullied as a result of one thing or another. For example, red hair. Or, you know, basically because of social engineering, the way societies work, we tend to like playing the blame game, and we always have to take out our anger out on something. And the fact is that it's about healthy ways in which to take one's anger out rather than taking it out on the person. It's a bit of a kick the cat syndrome, you know, that goes on in most human being societies, in most, you know, Homo sapiens societies. And yeah, I would be very, very different in the fact that I would change my eyesight. I do have a few times when I could identify with the emotions that she was expressing, like people only want to be your friends because people had to be paid to be your friend. You know, there had to be an incentive. And you get that when you're a teenager, and you get that when you're a little kid, because the little kid thinks, you know, because teachers like to encourage being nice to people, they'll give them an incentive to do so, you know? And I think the sadness is that with everybody, you have to learn as a visually impaired person or as a disabled person, or as anybody, that your friends are the people who stick by you without an incredibly, you know, without emotional blackmail, without an incentive. You know, true friendship is about being friends with someone without having an incentive or you know, an untoward motive behind it, in my opinion. So, you know, I won't give you any examples right now, because, you know, when things are a bit too close to the bone, you might end up being upset yourself in a heightened state of emotions. So I don't really want to go there today. I just want to say, if you have a visually impaired child, even though I'm not a big fan of Audible, buy the book and share it to them, and hopefully, you know, or at least buy the book and let them read it and have the 30-day free trial in order to read it. It is only £5.99, and that is a really reasonable price for this book, and the lady deserves it. You know, give her a clap. She actually deserves it. And yeah, just learn to be content in yourself, I think, is the biggest message I get from that book. And others, obviously, there are other books. But yeah, that's my book review of Molly Burke's It's Not What It Looks Like book. Okay?